What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Mostly Metal. I'm your host, Sean, and this is going to be my year-end list. I'm not going to rank anything here just because it's really hard for me to do that with my vast tastes in music. It depends on my mood. It's a cloudy, sort of rainy, shitty day here in the Midwest. Sometimes that drives my mood. If I have a shitty day at work, that drives my mood. Something's gonna speak to me a little more than some other stuff. So what I've done is I've got all the stuff here that may not necessarily be the best of the year for me, but it's stuff that I think is great, and I didn't see a lot of this on other lists. I don't need to regurgitate the stuff that you've all already seen on other lists. Napalm Death, ASCII, Winterfileth, blah 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 blah. You've all seen that stuff. So what I'm going to try to do is highlight some stuff that I think is as good as a lot of that other stuff, but may not have just shown up on lists. Maybe you'll find something new here on the list. I've got cassette CDs and vinyl separated out. I do have a mixture of metal and a little bit of country in here. I'll do the country stuff first in each category, so cassettes, CDs, vinyl. And I'm not going to show you like the innards and everything like I usually do, because I've talked about probably all of this stuff in some of my other videos. Sorry, I just had lunch. So let's just jump into it, because there's a lot to get through, and I don't know how long this video is going to be. First up, I did see this on some lists, but Caustic Wound out of Ontario on Profound Lore. Great grind, mixture of death, a lot of replay in this. I can't really pinpoint what makes this cassette so great, but I find myself going back to it quite a bit. It just has a lot of replay value for grind and slash death type music. That says a lot to me. A lot of times you can put on some of these songs that are 1, 2, 3 minutes long and like, alright, heard that before. Alright, heard that one before, and keep moving on. So, next up is an album I did not see on a ton of lists. Cultus Profano with Accursed Possession. These guys are out of California. There's the back here. This is more your standard black metal, and it's upside down. Well produced though, great songwriting, great musicianship. It's another album that I find myself going back to quite a bit. It's short, sweet, to the point. I talk about that a lot. I don't need 15-minute songs unless the mood strikes me, which it does at times. So, but yeah, this album, Cultus Profano, did not get a ton of love out there, but I think it's great. And that came out on, what was it? Demi and Morty Productions. Great label. This one's going to be hard to see for you all, but I'll try to show you the best I can. This is Dearth with To Crown All Befoulment. You're not going to be able to see with the glare and the blackness. This came out on Sentient Ruin Records. This is just their more doomy death type metal. How about that? It's, I guess, black and death is what some people call it, but it's just filthy, nasty, grimy stuff. A joy to listen to. Didn't get much love, so I'm sorry the glare and everything. How about that? That doesn't help either. It's just a very hard cover to see. But I'm going to link all this stuff below, by the way, so y'all can check it out. A band I've talked about quite a bit. I think they put out an album or a CD or a split every 2 days, it feels like, but Hyperdontia. This is Excreted from the Flesh. I'm pretty sure this came out in 2020. I want to verify that before I talk about it. I've got like 4 releases from them in the last, I think, 4 months. And yeah, this came out on Extremely Rotten in 2020. Great death metal. I think they're out of Denmark. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think they're getting a lot of love in some circles. Even Decibel Magazine put a flexi out with their magazine with these guys on it. To me, that says even Decibel's taking notice. So I look for big things for those guys in 2020. They do a merch drop, I think, every week. They just put out a split that I talked about not too long ago. So I think 2021 is going to be a big year for those guys. Next up, this one probably did get a lot of praise, but I thought I wanted to still put it on my best of list. This is Paul Bearer with Forgotten Days. This album, when I first talked about it, it didn't really grab me. But over time, their blend of Sabbathy riffs and melodic vocals and ebb and flow song structures for you guys that like your doom with some a little bit of melody, it's kind of some weird, obscure song structures and heavy riffs. Paul Bearer's for you. Next up, we have, let's see, a band that was on some list. This is probably another one that I'm not going to talk a ton about, but it's in the case. Uwada with Jin. Again, melodic black metal. These guys kind of took folks for a loop with this release this year. A lot of folks didn't like it. A lot of people loved it. And there's kind of this love-hate relationship with their what people are considering a change in their sound a little bit from the previous releases. But it's still quite a joy to listen to for me. And last but not least, we're going to go with Damnation Is My Salvation by Witch's Hammer. This came out of Nuclear War Now. Just these guys have been around for like 30 years, I think. But every song on here is extremely enjoyable. I apologize for my throat. I've been doing a lot of talking today, so Witch's Hammer, just a great black and death metal album. Didn't get a ton of love, in my opinion, but I think every song on here from start to finish is just great stuff. So that's it for cassettes. I had no country cassettes. It's not really a big thing in country music. It used to be back in the day. But a lot of the bands, even underground country bands, are pretty much pushing the vinyl more so than anything, I would say. So next up, we're going to talk about CDs here. The first one is country, so if you hate country, skip this one. I believe this is the debut album from, I think it's her debut, Tessie Lou Williams. This album at first didn't really hit me. It's soulful country music from a female's perspective. The song that really hit me was Why Do I Still Want You? If you listen to that song, just turn off everything off in your life, turn the lights down, put that song on. If this song doesn't move you in some way, I don't think you're living. It's always a song about heartbreak and falling for the wrong person. Even though you shouldn't like that person, you still go back to them, and it's still someone you want. And that's a common theme in country music. So it's just that Tessie Lou Williams does it such a powerful way, where her vocals just cut through your eardrums, and it's like you can feel the emotion that she has when she was writing and singing the song. The rest of it's great too, but that song alone is probably in my top country songs of the year. I mean, I looked at Spotify, and I can't tell you how many times I listened to the song, but it was quite a bit. So do your ears a favor and check out Tessie Lou Williams. Next up, we're going to go into the metals for CDs. If I didn't mention this earlier, also these are in alphabetical order. These aren't in any kind of, this is my favorite. Witch's Hammer was not my favorite of the cassettes. It just is what it is. So we will get into it here. A band that just announced a new release for 2021 I saw yesterday. I have not picked it up yet because my budget currently does not allow for it. But this did not get enough love at all. This is In Ergo Anai by Ara out of Switzerland. There's 5 songs on here. I think 4 of them are actually songs. Again, on Debemere Morty Records. Just great melodic, dark black metal. It's epic. It's majestic, might be a word that I would use to describe it. But yeah, these guys didn't get a lot of love for some reason, I think, with their new release, though. They will. I saw a little sidetrack or side note here. They put out the pre-order yesterday, I think, and I can't remember if this is the release or not, but bands and labels, when you put out a pre-order on Bandcamp and you don't have any songs to preview digitally, I don't understand how you expect people to fork over money for stuff that don't know who you are. Like this band, I knew who they were, so it made sense. But if you put out a 15 vinyl variants and 3 CD variants and a cassette and t-shirts, and you say, hey guys, coming in February, check this out, and I've got no links to listen to the shit anywhere, I don't know how you expect people to jump on and spend their hard-earned money on stuff. So just a side note there. If you're going to do that kind of stuff, guys, just give us a teaser to listen to, at least, please. Next up, an album I was very high on. If I had to rank my metal albums, this would be in my top 5 this year for sure. I did a full review on this one. Utopian Deception by The Committee. This came out on, I can't remember, Folter Records. These guys are out of Germany. I like the kind of conspiracy theory, everyone's watching you and tracking you type mentality on this. I think there's some truth in that with all of the social media bullshit going on, corruption in politics, etc. This really hit home at the right time for me in the September-October mind frame, or time frame. I was in a certain mind frame when I bought this. There's not a lot of physical product left on this. Looks like there are 6 CDs left, 9 vinyl. No, there's 13 CDs left out of, I think, 1,000. They've got a couple different versions where you get a patch with it, but this is just great black metal. If you like Dark Funeral, Immortal, that kind of rhythmic centric dark black metal, these guys do it great. I don't know who's in this band. They're kind of anonymous, but I said this in my full review. I find it hard to believe that this group is not a super group of sorts where these guys are all part of some other bands, because this is just too good to be a band's, just some guys getting together in the garage. They have some other releases that I went back and listened to after this came out. Didn't pull me in as much as that album, so be sure to get Utopian Deception by The Committee. Next up is a band that just got signed, I heard, to Memento Mori, I believe, yesterday. They've put out a couple of EPs. This is the first one, Foul Formations by Conjureth. I believe this was self-released. There's a few versions out there with, there's a CD version, there's a cassette version, etc. This is just great death metal. Not much more to say. No frills, nothing fancy here, but solid. Great songwriting, great musicianship. This was an EP, like I said. They had another EP that came out not too long ago that I pre-ordered, and there was like a split where they're taking that new EP and mixing it with Foul Formations and making one release out of it. So look forward to big things from Conjureth with the signing to that label and putting out a full length in 2021. Looking forward to that immensely. Next up, a band that gets some love. Feel like everything they put out sells out, but not enough love for this album, I don't think. The Green Enchanted Forest of the Druid Wizard by Eifernach. I think I'm pronouncing the band's name right. I believe this is released on their own. Tour de Garde, I think is the label. This is just kind of, it's black metal, one-man black metal, but very experimental in ways that it's hard for me to describe with words. You just have to sit down and listen to it. In my opinion, some songs feel extremely experimental, some feel straightforward, some have a punk rock tinge to them. But it doesnent sound disjointed, which is what I like quite a bit. There's a few songs on here that are like 2 minutes long, and it feels like a punk rock head decided to play black metal. And other songs go on for a little longer. There's some weird instrumental soundscape type things, but that's kind of par for the course for Eifernach. But this is one of my favorites of the year by far. Next up, this one didn't get a ton of love either. Pure Wrath The Forlorn Soldier. There was a lot of hype around this, being it a one-man band from Indonesia. Again, on Devin Mumori Records. Only a few songs on here, but just great musicianship. The fact that one person wrote, produced, recorded all of this is pretty mind-blowing. So I look forward to more that's coming from Pure Wrath, hopefully in 2021. Next up is some grind, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here. This is Ripped to Shreds. Didn't get a lot of love in 2021. I believe the title of the album is pronounced Luwan. The guy, I believe this is also a group where there's two bands. I think there's a band in, is it Indonesia again, or Asia, and another one in America, so they have two versions of the band that can play all these songs. Just great musicianship all around, grind, death, etc., etc. Short and sweet, to the point. So most of the songs are like 2 minutes long, but there's a few longer songs on here, but again, another one on Pulverized Records. Did get a lot of love. Next one, this one probably shocked me more than any by the lack of attention that it got. I think it got a lot of attention when it first came out. This came out on I Void Hanger, which is a pretty popular underground label. This is the split between Spectral Lore and Mark Nictum. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. There's the back. This was a black metal double album. I think it's almost 2 hours in length, with all the songs revolving around the planets. You can kind of see that at the bottom of the cover there, the planets, and each song is tied to a planet. Just a lot of thought and time went into this release. You can tell the bands were very methodical about each song, the lyrics, all the planets aligning, all this fun stuff that I don't think a lot of people just wanted to take the time in our society. We're on these, hey, where's the Spotify link? Let me click it. If it doesn't pull me in 30 seconds, I'm moving on to the next. And this demanded a lot of attention, so I get it. It didn't pull me in right away either, but it's very rewarding on repeated listens for hours on end, and it did not get enough love. So if you have time out of your busy schedule, you're working at home, you're quarantined anyway, just put this on and listen. You won't be disappointed. Didn't get enough love though. This is another one that got some love. I thought it was better than I thought. Dream in Motion from Kirk. Is Weinstein or Winstein or Weinstein? I don't know, but he's the mastermind behind Crowbar. This came out in E1. I like his vocals. His vocal style is very haunting. He took some of those slower Crowbar melodic riffs and made songs out of them. He also did a cover of Aqualung, which was actually pretty good. I'm not a big fan of what's their face, Jethro Tull, but he did it. He did the song justice. So there's about 5 or 6 gems on here. So check them out. Gloom Lord by Worm out of Florida. This is my probably real introduction to what they call funeral doom. There's only 5 songs on here. Every format of this seems to sell out instantly. I'm kind of curious as to why. I mean, it's good, but there's other stuff out there that I think is a lot better than this that doesn't sell out. I don't know, but I'm new to the funeral doom genre. Some of you did comment when I reviewed this in one of my videos on other stuff to check out, so I will do that as time allows, but this was still a pretty solid release nonetheless. Last but not least is a band I can't stop talking about. I think they've either been featured in a review or been in the background, but this is Absolute Power by Wraith. These guys just play straight up speed thrash metal. This is a re-release of Absolute Power. You can see right there in the spine, no bullshit, speed and thrash. This was re-released recently with what they called, I think it was the Quarantine Sessions. They put 4 songs out while they were in quarantine. Obviously, they recorded Outbreak, Isolation, Diagnosis, Extinction. Those seem to be the 4 phases of of COVID. But this is just great speed thrash metal. I keep looking over here, but I'm trying to look at you guys too. They do a cover of Death Comes Dripping by the Misfits, which is great. That's one of my favorite Misfits songs. I believe that was on Earth AD. So yeah, they do the cover justice. A lot of bands try to cover songs. And so that's it for cassettes and CDs. Next up, we're going to do vinyl. We're going to start with country. Again, none of this is any particular order. But this is, I mentioned this in another video of mine. This is my favorite country album of the year. It did not get enough love anywhere. It's a shame that this isn't played on the radio as much as Tyler Childers and Sturgill Simpson and blah blah blah. But Zephaniah O'Hara, this is Listening to the Music. If you like Merle Haggard, this guy to me is the modern day version of Merle Haggard. Maybe toss in a little Glenn Campbell. Songwriting's great. Song structures are great. He's on Last Roundup Records. I don't know why he's not getting enough love, other than the fact that he probably just doesn't have the right, PR behind him, or can't afford the right PR. There's pay to play going on everywhere, but as far as country music goes, 2020, you can't get any better than this. A guy that, speaking of getting a lot of hype, rightfully so, I would say. This is the latest from Coulter Wall, Western Swings and Waltzes, and other punchy songs. This is a good album. Not as good as his other stuff. I think he's trying to get out of his monotone, Johnny Cash-ish type tone, vocal style. But it's still good, nonetheless. He does a great version of the Marty Robbins song, Big Iron. It's a great classic country song, so if you're so inclined, check out Coulter. And the last one, as far as country goes, Neon Crosses, Jamie Wyatt. Great country music. She was produced on this album by Shooter Jennings, which is the son of Waylon Jennings. What I liked about this, not just the catchy songs and whatnot, but she does a cover of Demon Tied to a Chair in My Brain, which is a song by Dax Riggs. Dax Riggs was the lead singer of a band I love called Acid Bath. So it was very cool to pick up an album by a country singer that I don't know how she got the idea to do this song. Maybe Shooter had some influence in that. He's kind of tied into underground rock and roll. He produced the latest Marilyn Manson album, if you didn't know that. But she does an excellent job of that song, so shout out to Jamie Wyatt for doing a very obscure cover song that a lot of people probably are not aware of, especially in country circles. Next up, we're going to hit 10 inches. There's only a couple of these. Again, I've talked about most of these before, and in no particular order. Exhumed and Gruesome, 10-inch, great stuff on Relapse. The Exhumed side is a lot better than the Gruesome side, in my opinion. Rot Your Brain, Buried to Die, Dead, Dead or Deadest are all great classic Exhumed songs. And surprise, surprise, Wraith makes another appearance. They're split with Bastardizer on Bone Pick Records. Wraith does a cover of Sick Boy by GBH, which is great. Now on to the full length. This album I already did a video on. I praise it, I think, in every video. Ackley's Melano. This is my album of the year, metal-wise. I can't stop listening to it. It's like a really great horror movie that you just can't get away from. It's just great, great stuff. I'm not going to keep talking about it, but check it out. Do your ears some justice. Let's see here. Next up, we've got another band out of LA. I saw Ben Smasher talk about this, but I haven't seen many others talk about it. Zaph, Through a Warren of Shadows on Pulverized Records. Just great, great, solid black metal. / death metal. I love the cover art on this. It's hard if you look real close. The amount of attention to detail on this was great, and that the drumming on this album just punches you right in the face. It's great, great stuff. Coming up out of Denver, I've said this in another video. I can't remember which album I was talking about, but there's something in the water in Denver. The amount of great music coming out of Denver, black metal, metal in general, you name it, amazing. But this is Endless Wound by Black Curse. Hasn't got a lot of love. But this is just great, great experimental-ish black metal. Kind of reminds me of Cobalt, which I think are they out of Colorado? I can't remember. But there's a similar thread in a lot of these Colorado bands where it feels like they share members. I know some of them do. But this album's just got riffs for days, and it's dark, and there is not a lot of melody on this, which is not a bad thing. If you want melody, you can get that elsewhere, but check out Black Curse. Next up, we have a split between Flusteros and Turia. I'm probably butchering that name, or those names. I bought this mainly for this is called Daord. I bought this for the Flusteros side. Experimental long song black metal. It's one of those, again, that you have to listen to and kind of absorb and get lost in it, so to speak, and just let it take you over and try not to think too much about it. It's not going to grab you right away. It took me about 4 listens to really get into it, but the Turia side, was so not as good as the Flustera side, so check that out. Let's see. Next up we have Death Meditation by the band Funeral Leech. These guys, I believe, I don't remember where they're from, but it's on Carbonized, which is out of San Diego. Just filthy, grimy, nasty death metal. I envision if death metal were around in the caveman days, I imagine a bunch of cavemen just sitting around listening to death metal and beating their heads against the wall. This is just filthy, grimy death metal, 6 songs. Short, sweet, to the point, and it's done. So I've listened to this probably 20 times, front to back. It's great stuff. Speaking of Denver, yeah, these guys are from Denver. This got some love. Lux by In the Company of Serpents. Another release that didn't get a lot of hype at first, but is starting to. One of my favorites of the year. They mix in a little bit of that kind of Western, kind of like a Wayfarer, kind of that, which got a lot of praise this year, kind of that Colorado heading out west vibe, but still very heavy in the metal. Demands repeat listens. The Chasm at the Mouth of the All is my favorite song on here. I think they self-released this, though. I don't believe this is on a label, so great packaging. Overall, just a very professional release. If they're not on a label yet, they will be very, very soon. So check them out, In the Company of Serpents. Next, Moonlit Navigation by Inexorum out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, I believe. This is kind of your standard atmospheric black metal, with a little bit of death metal thrown in. Still great stuff, though. I believe this came out on Gilead Media, out of Wisconsin. Yeah, just good black metal, atmospheric. You can tell by the cover. The art's very well done, but you kind of get that atmospheric vibe just by looking at the cover. I listened to this quite a bit. It just kept flipping it over. Very melodic, which is always good in your music. But when I first got this, it probably consumed my record player for about 2 days straight. So check out Inexorum. Next up, this one is a split between Nishoshwin and Panopticon. This was another one of my favorite releases, just because the Panopticon side, there's kind of a story behind that, which I won't get into, called Rune's Heart, but it's, kind of about Aaron Lunn, I think is his name, his kid, and all the heart issues his kid was dealing with. So it kind of you can feel the emotional ebb and flow of that song. So great split. And this came out on Bind Room Recordings. Great stuff. Next up, a weird one, but great nonetheless. I'm probably going to butcher the name, but it's Nyrdolk with Endeavorant, I believe. This is just filthy punk black death metal, for lack of a better term. That is what they look like on the back here. If you ever look up any live videos, this is what they look like. Live shows look very entertaining, but if you like the filthy, heavy punk, death, black metal hybrid, and you're not really sure what you're going to expect from song to song, check out Nyrdolk. This would probably be, if I had to rank, this is going to be my number 2 release of the year. It probably did get a lot of hype, but in my opinion, not enough. Aranzi Pazuzu. This is on Nuclear Blast, called Mastarin Kinsey, I believe. Again, I'm butchering that, but these guys are, if you want to take the 13th Floor Elevators, if they became a black metal band, this is probably what they would sound like. It's just great psychedelic black death metal, lots of experimentation, keyboards, weird song structures. They played this album start to finish during quarantine and streamed it on YouTube, and it's a spectacular watch if you have not seen it. So this one is a must listen for every metal and black metal fan, in my opinion. We got a couple more here. Again, these aren't in any particular order. This one didn't get any love at all, which is a shame. No Good to Anyone by Today Is the Day. They've been around for decades. Steve Austin is the leader of the band. This is their most cohesive effort in probably a decade, and I thought this would get some more love from the metal community, and it really didn't. But it's just great songwriting. He went through a lot of health issues writing and recording this, or writing it and coming up with the idea, hence the title No Good to Anyone. He was bedridden for a while. His wife had to take care of him, and you can kind of feel it in the way the songs start with I'm not doing very good at all, and to his point of I'm getting better and being self-functioning again. But probably that emotional attachment to his journey is very meaningful to me in this album. I could feel it in the songs and in the lyrics. So again, if you don't know Today Is the Day, this is a good place to start. Last but not least, a band. This is the album I've been waiting for this band to make, I would say, for ever since they started. There's been hints of this throughout their career, and I think they finally put together a cohesive release here. But this is Under Sullen Skies by the band Tombs, out on Season of Mist. This is just if you've liked bits and pieces of every Tombs album up to now, they took the best of all of that and threw it on this album. I think Mike Hill has a great band right now. The songwriting on here is great. The melodies are great. The song structures are great. Just everything about this album I absolutely love. And I'm glad that they put out this album and were able to write what I think is their most cohesive album to date. It really is, from start to finish, near masterpiece. There's some death metal. There's some of that, Mike Hill's really big into kind of some of that gothic, doomy, vampire-y type stuff that comes out in here as well. Just a great album overall. Under Sullen Skies by Tombs. That, folks, is it for what I liked this year that you may not have seen on other lists. Again, not the greatest stuff, but all good stuff in my opinion. So hopefully I'm going to link all this stuff below. It's going to take a little bit of time to find all these links, but I will do that. And I encourage you all to go check this stuff out, give it a listen, see if you like it if you haven't heard of it before. Next up, there is a video thing going around about the metal tag for 2021 from, I believe it's Scott over at the Rock Scout. I'm going to be doing that hopefully this week. He put out 20 questions and said, hey, answer these questions and show some stuff from your collection to help answer those questions. So I'm going to try to get to that this week. So again, guys, hopefully you found something here you like. Check out the links below. Support the bands as much as you can. And I will catch you all next time. Later.